What's up, everyone? So I just got back from seeing the brand new Makoto Shinkai film, Suzume. And before I go into it, I'm going to need to give you a bit of a synopsis of what Suzume is about. Don't worry, it's going to be non-spoiler for the review, but I need you to have an idea of what the movie's about so I can explain what my gripes are with the film. So, Suzume, as a film, is about a young girl named Suzume. She ends up meeting a man named Sato, who is something called a closer, and he seals these magic doors that house something behind it. Now she ends up going on a journey with Sato to seal these doors, and that is the crux of the film. Now, that being said, and now that you understand what Suzume is about, I loved the movie. I thought it was good. However, I don't think it hits the same level as Shinkai's previous two films, Your Name and Weathering with You. I loved those movies, and they left me awe-stricken when I walked out of the theater due to the visuals and the story being told, as well as the sound. Just everything about those movies is absolutely fantastic. They have like imagery burned into my memory from seeing them. Now, that being said, when it comes to Suzume, it kind of has two issues working against it that I feel Shinkai's previous two films didn't have. And that's the fact that the background and supernatural element in Suzume needs more explanation than Weathering with You and Your Name, and it didn't have a striking visual that stuck in my memory the same way that the previous two films did. Not to say this movie doesn't look beautiful, and it does have memorable imagery, but these previous two films that he's made had a moment or two in them that when I saw it, like the emotions going on in the movie as well as the visuals compared with what's happening just stuck with me as a person. Suzume didn't exactly have that landed with me as an individual. I think the most beautiful scene is probably the opening scene of the movie. Like when the movie opens up and you see what's there, like it's beautiful, it's fantastic, and I loved it, but the movie just started. I don't have a deep-rooted emotional connection to these characters yet, so it didn't land with me the same way like The Storm did in Weathering with You or like The Crater did in Your Name. Now, that being said, as I mentioned earlier, the other thing working against the movie is the fact that the supernatural element needs more explanation. So, Suzume's whole thing about the closers and the magic door and the thing behind it, we get an explanation as to some of what's going on, enough to know like what the characters need to do in the movie, but we don't learn the backstory of the character of Sato in depth or his family and how they shut the doors or whatever. We don't really know about that. We don't know where the doors came from to a deep degree or anything like that. So all that stuff is left open to the audience's interpretation because it doesn't play into the emotional connection between Sato and Suzume, as the movie is focusing that on the same way Shinkai's movies always do. They focus on, at least with these last three that he's made, they focus on the romantic connection between two characters. Now, his movie's focusing on that and just using the supernatural element to exposit this. We don't go into the backstory. It's not something in the same vein as like Blue Exorcist or Naruto or whatever, where it's like we learn in depth the lore of the world through the eyes of the character. We just learn enough in this to get through the story, which I think kind of harms it a bit because the element of this movie is more complex than, the body switching was in Your Name. It's not something as easily simple that people can just latch onto and have an understanding of it. It needs a bit more explanation, a bit more time, and then it is leaving you with questions wondering like, well, why does this happen? Why does this character seem like they know this thing? I kind of want to know more about it, but you don't. And that's fine. A film is able to leave the audience guessing. Obviously one of the best movies of all time is Inception. That movie leaves you at the end of the movie wondering if Leonardo DiCaprio is or isn't inside of a dream. It's fine to leave interpretation up to the audience, but at the same time, when it comes to this, having like lore explained more in a more open way probably would have been more interesting. So I think Suzume probably would have worked better if it was like 2 movies or a mini series. I think that would work phenomenally better because it would have had more time to explain the backstory of the supernatural element rather than like one scene where like Suzume talks to Sato about it. And honestly, I think those are all my gripes with the movie. Outside of that, I think it's fantastic. I really enjoyed it. Although it didn't meet my expectations that I was hoping for, I'm not going to fault the movie because honestly, it comes with the territory when someone's a genius as a film creator. It's just, you know that they've proven themselves, that they've made such fantastic things that you're loving and looking forward to. So when I heard Suzume was coming out and I saw the trailer and it was like weird, and I saw this weird door, like all this stuff, and like it just looked super interesting. I was like, it's made by Shinkai, he made these movies that I love, I can't wait to see it. And I kind of probably built my expectations up higher than I should have, instead of just being like, hey, I like the movies this guy's made, I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna enjoy them. So although I won't say I was overly hyped as like I was when I went to go see something like Endgame or something of that caliber, probably deep down I had expectations for the movie that just didn't land for me. And that's unfortunate for me specifically, but I'm not going to tell you that the movie is bad just because it didn't completely blow me away, and I'm not walking out of the movie saying it's a cinematic masterpiece like I did when I saw Weathering with You and Your Name. So I think Suzume is a fantastic film. I think if you go see it, you will enjoy it. And I personally saw it in English dub because I didn't feel like reading subtitles, if I'm being honest. I was being lazy. I didn't want to read the subtitles. So the dub for the movie is actually really good, and I think people will enjoy it. And the actors who worked on the movie for the dub did a good job. And obviously, if you see it subbed, I don't think I've ever seen anything that's subbed for Japanese be bad. I don't know what it is. I don't know what's in their water, what's in the milk that they're drinking, but Japanese people are just really good at being voice actors and actresses. So like, keep up the good work. They're just really good at it. I can't explain why. Anyway, that is my thoughts on Suzume. So if you've seen the movie, let me know what you think about it down below in the comments. I'm curious to see how other people view the film as a whole, and if they're excited for Shinkai's next work, if he plans on making anything. I haven't looked in to see if he's already working on something or if he plans to work on something else, but I'd very much like to see another thing that he intends to make. So there's that. And last but most certainly not least, I am the innocent villain. And remember, folks, you're innocent to proven villainous, and I'll catch you next time.